I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Stoneblock 4. Now, last episode was huge. Like, we made the atomic forge from Oratech, and we gained access to time crystals from Just Dire Things, which we are going to be using quite a bit today, as it seems we're going to be heading into a couple of different mods moving forward, and it's also going to want us to amplify our refinery system. Currently we're producing oil, but we should have the ability to expand on this system today and start actually breaking down different components with a more advanced refinery from Oratech. Before I do all of that, we've got some things we've got to take care of back at spawn, that is. Because last episode, I left you guys right after we finished our completion, but we got to talk again with the Echo of Guidance. And this time, it talks about something different. And these voice lines currently are not working, so you know what? I get to voice them. Searching databank for last location of Ascended Echo archives. The archives could not be located. System analysis complete. The work has encountered an unexpected error. The final echoes remain unreachable to the system. Consult the Echo of the Wormrite, who may have some method of uncovering traces of the ancient Echo archives. Interesting. So we've got to go back again to the Wormrite here. And remember, this one had the really like hard to understand voice. So is this one going to work? Let's actually see. And no, yet again, another one I get to voice act. I'm sure you guys are loving this. The thing about dragons is that we can sense our kin across time and space. Wherever my brother is, I know he'll hear me. He always does. He's a chaotic little wormling, though, so don't expect him to be somewhere easy to get to. Normally, I'd take you there myself, but as you already know, I am a binary reincarnation of my memories. Still, there's always hope. To get there, you'll need to fuse an advanced draconic core with Fortron, Chronon, and Source. And you'll also then tamper it with Shoal Fire. With luck, the process will carry my draconic will into a component strong enough to open a path to him. And we need to craft a chronotone resonator. But now back at the base, I've got some things I need to look at, because in the quest, it definitely shows us what we need to make. And this thing has a lot of components based around it. First thing, we do need to automate chronotone glass. And chronotone glass, I mean, we have unlimited nether stars, so this should just be an operation that hopefully we can request within Applied Energistics. And I hope we don't end up with any recursive crafting things. So now let's see what these patterns are. I mean, this is going to return this as a byproduct. I'm hoping we can get away with this without this becoming like a recursive crafting thing. Also, by the way, I added another extended pattern provider to the world engine, and we now have plenty more space. So just a few things. I just need to add the dire glass viewer. This was something I didn't actually automate. And so now let's see, can we craft this glass? Let's say we need 100 of it. So yes, we do run into an issue where we need more than one of these if we want to make more. But I think there is a way we can do this. Let's say we only request like 10. Okay, it does work. So what we could do is just keep so many in stock. And the requester is really good at doing this. And that's because it's only going to request like one crafting operation at max at a time, which is really good. Like its batch size will be 1. So we can set that in here, and we'll say keep 256 of this glass in stock. The 256, we'll accept, turn it on. And now it should just be looping this and actually doing the craft, but only one batch at a time. And just as I had hoped, yes, we are starting to see our glass go up. Beautiful. Now for other things like the Wyvern core, I mean, we have Draconium, but yeah, I'm going to need to make probably more of it. We should be able to eventually make a Draconium chicken, I believe. Yes, we definitely can, and it is going to require our temperature to be up to 625 degrees Celsius. I have cranked this up to 4,000 RF per tick. Everything else here is very simple. However, we do need tier 8 seeds, which is where we're at. So we are good to potentially be able to make this. Now, if I am going to make this chicken, we also need some meat, and all I did was throw in some like raw pork in here. And I think that's plenty of meat for right now. and it makes it really nice for just simply crafting this inside of our storage. We also need a few feathers that have been converted, and of course that heat, and we are definitely at that heat. I have this set to 4,000 and it is producing plenty of heat all the way up into almost 1,000 here. Okay, so I think we're looking mighty fine here to be able to make these chickens. Let's get our seeds. I mean, I definitely have tier 8 seeds in here. And so I'm going to make a couple of these. Now, when it comes to getting the meat in here, I'm just going to click this onto here and we can actually pull out any remnants. It's really nice. It only uses a little bit of meat. So we're going to toss all the items. I just need to make one for right now. Like I said, I can actually pull this back out once we're done because we definitely want this to be empty. I guess you could also click the dump button. There we go. All right, now why exactly am I making this Draconium chicken? Well, I'm taking these quests sort of to heart here. I feel like these quests are definitely telling me, hey, you should make sure that you can auto-craft these items. And to do that, you need to make sure that you have Draconium in some form auto-craftable. And all of these things potentially auto-craftable, as we're about to also auto-craft Mekanism things. And I feel like it's almost telling me, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it. And there we go, a Draconium chicken. Now, I definitely want to level this bad boy up. And look, they've changed all of the art and stuff for this. I like this a little bit better. I mean, this right here, though, pretty darn simple. I leveled it up to 64, so it is producing that amount. We just place it in and it just works. The way our system works is just literally drop in and you're good to go. But now we can make, I believe it's the 16 of the cores that we need, and this should craft up, I would say, relatively quick. I do think I have to add this drawer into the system because right now it is just smelting using the ones we have. But that should be really fast after we add this because, yes, there we go. Because these are already smelted. Now, next on the list is time crystals, and this has way more use to me than just simply making this thing. Time crystals can be made by taking intro and fluxite, combining them together, and we get 4. However, it also takes 1 bucket of void flame fuel to do this, which we did 100% automate last episode. Now, the goal would be to eventually get the timey-wimey chicken, but this is going to require you to have gone through Draconic, because as looking at this crafting recipe, yes, you are going to need Awakened Draconium first. But that doesn't stop me from automating it and using it with this recipe behind me. See, now that we have the Resonant Void, I can actually make time crystals, and I'm producing Fluxite, I'm producing automatically intro crystals, I'm also producing Void and Fortron, all giving me the ability to quite literally craft these anytime I need them. And we can also use them after we get them. We can use them and we can turn the time crystals into time fluid, allowing me to tick accelerate much like the temporal pouch, but without needing to worry about the specific time stored in it. It's just infinite time at that point. And so we can take the time crystals now, and this is going to require 8. So we'll just say, hey, make 8 of them. This is the stuff required. I already have Void Flame in the system, so this probably isn't even going to kick off. And it's just crafting it now in the world engine. There it is. Time crystals are done. But man, I can't just leave it at that. We've got to make the time wand. And we've also got, well, actually, I don't want to auto-craft it. We've got to make the time wand, which does use power, by the way. But it also is going to use the actual time fluid. And so I do want to produce time fluid. And this is going to be kind of cool. We can keep the time fluid in stock with our ME requester. So something I am going to do, I'm going to modify our Just Dire Things fluid housing right here. And I do want to add time fluid to it. So we're just going to drag that into here. And so now we have time fluid stored in here, allowing me to keep time fluid in our AE system. And how exactly are we going to make time fluid? It's quite as easy as just giving the items to the reaction chamber because of the recipes they added into here. And so now we have a polymorphic with time fluid. It's just, this is golden. This is a golden recipe. And then all I need is to take time fluid, and I think I can request time fluid from here. I'll have to toggle this off and say time fluid. I don't think we can drag it into here though. So I need to figure out how exactly am I going to get time fluid into this? And I guess let's first craft one. So we'll craft a bucket of time fluid, which you now have, and maybe we can use like a tank to define this. Maybe a bucket. I just pulled it into a bucket, so Does that work? No, that shows a bucket, and that also removed this for some reason. Aha, I did figure it out. You have to right click, and so I right click to set this to time fluid. Okay, and now I can say keep 8 buckets, I would assume, 8 buckets in stock, and do a batch at a time. And so now we should see time fluid automating, and we do have it automating. Man, now things are about to get real because I just put a significant amount of time in my hands. Now, unfortunately, we don't have like an export card. I was looking if there was an export card. That mod was in here. I do not see it that allows you to export from your terminal, but we can actually just look up time fluid. And because we have this, we can just like click either our time wand itself on here, and we pick up all of the time fluid just like that, and then more is going to be recrafted. Or we can use like a fluid canister here, and the fluid canister also holds 8 buckets and allows you to auto refill this too. So we could also just simply click on here, fill up the canister with all of this time fluid, and then we can shift right click, and this is going to set it to fill to just dire things. So it is now going to be auto keeping our time wand filled up, which is very powerful, by the way, considering that we can take, for example, our chicken, toss it into here, and any chicken we want to level up, I can now tick accelerate it just like we were doing before with this, but we don't actually store time. We just use that fluid. Now, there is another time wand, by the way, the advanced time wand. This one is kind of interesting. I believe it just allows you to configure, like if you want it to immediately put it to 256, and then you just right click once and it does the 256. But I don't know. There's just something about hearing the like satisfying sound. I don't know. I really like that sound. So now talk about upgrades. We now have the ability to accelerate without any worry of running out of time, but now we need to spend some time and finally automate Mekanism. It's been overdue. Now, normally automating Mekanism is quite easy, minus one machine, and that is the infusing factory. Now, the infusing factory, the only reason that it is made a little bit harder is because it does have an extras slot that you do have to worry about. But we can make this very, very simple with the advanced extended pattern provider, or just a regular pattern provider. I just happen to be using an extended. What makes this particular pattern provider better than any of the others is we can specifically choose what side of the machine we want specific resources in a pattern to go to. So now, first things first, let's make sure that our machines are all configured properly. Now, on this machine, I do want the top to be input and output. This is just going to be the main product and then the output, which is down here. And then on the back of the machine, I'm just going to set that, which is currently connected to a cable. I'm going to set this to be our extras slot, and everything else I'm just going to clear. All of the other machines, by the way, these are very, very simple. The osmium compressor, this one is going to be input output on the top, and then on the side, I'm going to run a cable down and send it osmium. And then over here, we have our crusher. The crusher's really easy. All we need to worry about is input output, auto eject on, and then also the enriching factory input output on the top, auto eject on. Now that we know this, we know how to actually configure this machine. So when building a pattern, for example, this, I do know that one of these is going to give us enough liquid to make 8 of the alloy. So we also need 8 of the product. So I can build this recipe right here. Now, if I was just sending this normally, it wouldn't actually have anywhere to go, and it wouldn't know to go to send that redstone into this extra slot. That's where we use the advanced pattern encoder. All right, so the advanced pattern encoder lets me select the sides. And for example, the up face is this, the top of the machine, which is what we're looking at. But we also need to send it to whatever face this is. So if we're looking at this, this is the up face, and I look at this and turn around, this is the east face. So I'll put this in, select up, and then we need to select east face for our redstone, pull this out, and now we should have a functioning pattern. I've also made patterns, by the way, for all of these, but there we go. So it definitely worked. I'm going to go ahead and make some infused alloy, and you can see it throws the stuff in here. Perfect. And it shouldn't leave any leftover after doing that. And it's all happening within this one block. But now I've got to make it for the other few alloys. And so all of these configurations are going to be exactly the same. Top on this and east on that side for every single one of the patterns. And so with all of this stuff, I mean, we should now be able to request atomic alloy. And voila. Now, I also can't forget, yes, we also need the basic control circuits. But once we have the control circuits, I did notice there's an atomic forge recipe. And we could use the atomic forge to autocraft some stuff. Like, for example, this recipe, like to upgrade this just requires a little redstone. I think this one just requires some diamond dust. Like, all of that is very, very simple to make. And we can upgrade these. This is probably the cheapest version of this recipe. So I'm going to throw those in here. And let's see. We can go ahead and request this. Oh yeah, that crafts so fast too. Now back to the osmium compressor. Let's just ignore the fact that this needs osmium in the recipe. We'll throw that in here. And then we just need like an exporter that just constantly sends to this side. We could just send this via a cable. We just want this to constantly send osmium. And then that should keep that nice and stocked up. With osmium in here, perfect for anything that we send in here that needs osmium to compress it. Now back over here to the wormrite. Yes, I really do want a couple of these. Like, I think I need this mostly though. Man, I really want it for the crusher. But you know what? I'm gonna buy two sets. Two sets, and this is like a full set, by the way, of upgrades. That's because for Mekanism, I definitely want this machine upgraded. So there we go. That is now max level and max size, which is perfect. This makes this process so much faster. But like, also, I do want to upgrade this crushing factory. This is the next thing. Yeah, if I make more money, I'll definitely spend it on some other things to fully upgrade. But those two are some of the biggest that need upgraded. And I guess we can go ahead and use what's left. Upgrade these machines to at least the basic tier. And as you can see here, I can craft up to the elite tier, but can I craft? Yeah, we are not at the point where we can actually craft this yet. We do need a dark matter block and a void container. This is like one step further than what we have. So buying it's not too bad. So now we almost have everything automated, but I also want to add another osmium compressor into here because I think this might be the best way for us to make plates for everything and probably the fastest way to make plates. And we do need a mixture of osmium for plates and also, I believe, oxygen for plates. Or was it hydrogen? I think it may be hydrogen. Yes, yeah, a mixture of hydrogen and osmium for several different plate recipes, but at least we can make all of these plates this way. Now what I'm thinking for this, we can use an electrolytic separator in the back. This is going to be very nice. And then we want the side to auto output the hydrogen. So let's go to chemicals, and yes, we want the left to output that. I want to send that into a chemical tank. I mean, that should work just fine. We're going to place the chemical tank down here, making sure that this is auto expelling. And then we want to set this to dump excess on the oxygen side. Chemical, auto eject, and then now we have hydrogen in here, and I can set this to output from the top and auto eject, and now we should have hydrogen in here. Now that I've got all of the patterns and plates in for this, yeah, we can just use that from now on. I do need to upgrade the machine though. And so with all of that, I mean, Mekanism, all of the basic components are basically automated now. So the thing that was required of us after doing all of this was just simply the teleportation core, which, I mean, it is definitely worthwhile getting all of this stuff set up. So we can now automate this, which by the way, is one of the core components normally, I would say, of crafting up this, the quantum entangle porter. Very, very nice block, allowing you to send chemicals and all kinds of stuff kind of wirelessly. After all of that, there's only one more thing left for us to do. The shoal fire. Oh boy. So we need to process lava, and we need to take this and send it into a refinery and break it down into 3 separate components. This is kind of new to me. So this looks like with Endurance Compound, we do possibly get more of the shoal fire, but we won't get steam, but we do get steam if we go about it this way. Interesting. And it looks like we can use a decondensing trading setup to convert it to Mekanism steam. What? Or there's another block over here that takes a little bit of heat that converts the steam from Mekanism into, or the steam from Auratech into this steam. Interesting. That could be used to generate a lot of power. Now for this setup, I am back into my Auratech generator room because this is where we already have some of this stuff set up. And let's make some basic machines here. We need to frame them out, and I'm going to actually set up 2 refineries. I might try to do both of those types of setups and see and sort of combine all of the fluids, since we can just simply use fluid tanks. Now, to extend this to be able to have the extra fluids, we have to add the refinery tanks to this. And I'm wondering, does it attach to these modules? Or do I just put it on top like this? It looks like it has to possibly attach to the side. Which, I mean, this whole kind of setup is really cool. So wait, this attaches, no wait, this needs to attach over here. And so I've got this, I think, in just the right position. That looks like it makes sense because that's where those connectors are. And then we fill out the tank. And then we place another one on top of that. And that should unlock the rest of the refinery, or no? No? Okay, now I've got to really look this up. Interesting. The Oracle Index, which, by the way, I have bound to H, shows it kind of going the opposite direction of what I just sort of had. So something like this, where the back of the machine, technically, I think, is on this side. Like that. There we go. Now we've opened a new tank. All right, it just seems a little odd whenever you place this in and the direction of the blocks change. Okay, so now everything is open. That's what the refinery actually looks like. Now, I was going to use a very simple method of using an exporter to simply send lava eggs into here, but I believe eggs in this current version is kind of broken. So what could also work is like a simple clicker that just simply tries to right-click the eggs. So this should work. So I put the eggs in here, and yeah, it is going to just simply right click, and we can keep this in stock with an exporter. That'll work better. Now I think this one over here, I also want to send that Enderic material. And I might, you know what, I might just send it like so directly into the side. The other one's not going to require this though. So we just pop that on here, and we already have this being produced. And we actually end up using quite a bit of it. I might even have it over here. Yes, the Enderic compound. Perfect. And just a fluid pipe coming out of here, going into the system. And that should get the party rolling. At least it looks like it, right? We have lava going in, and all of these other materials are being produced. And every time this does an operation, you can see we get this sulfuric acid, it looks like. This one over here, though, very, very simple. This doesn't require anything, and this one should produce steam, I believe. Now I just have to connect in some pipes. I'm going to take like a fluid pipe here, connect a fluid pipe up into that, and then a fluid pipe down here, and then just use the wrench to disconnect it from all of those individual segments. Like this, and honestly, like so. We want this to, I think, pull from the bottom section, that be disconnected, and that be disconnected. And I think this is going to work. So we pull from here, that's steam. Pull from here, that's sulfuric acid. And then pull from here, and we have that soul fire. We want to make sure we put void upgrades in these. But yeah, throw in some upgrades. And this is looking pretty good. And that steam is kind of wild building up in here. And you know what? Because this isn't actually pulling the steam out fast enough, I'm going to make sure to tap into here like this to make sure this can pull out fast enough. Okay. So let's see. Do I have my wrench around me anywhere? Of course I do. It's right in my inventory. All right. So if I use the right pipe wrench here, make sure to separate that and then set that to extract. And now that should be fast enough. Yes, at pulling that out. The regular, for some reason, the Ortec pipe wasn't fast enough, and it allowed this operation not to happen so often. But you know what? That right there is soul done. Soul is quite literally done. We just have to add this to our drawer network, and that is good. I mean, with this, that's basically all we need. I mean, I think we are now at the point where we can craft the communication device or the chronon resonator. Okay, let's build a pattern for this. Everything we now have, all of the fluids we now have, we also have source technically automated as well, and constantly being sent through our AE system into that. So with this, it is now time for us to craft this bad boy, I think. Oh boy, already we are at this point. FTB, let's head down. Chronon resonator. And we start the craft, and it says it's missing shoal fire. It should have it in the system. Interesting. Oh, maybe I didn't have enough, but now I do. We just literally got just enough. Okay, And all of this is taking place at the world engine. Let's go give it a peek to make sure it is working. And it's definitely working. It's definitely doing the thing. On resonator complete. And it's also making more of that glass, by the way. But now that I have this, what do we do now? Okay, so we need to go back again and speak to the Wormrite. All right, provide you with a chronotone battery infused with draconic powers, allowing this tool to access, the fractured void. This location, okay, will be added to the action pad. All right, well, let's go back. Let's go have a little bit of a chat with Mr. Wormrite again. All right, what do you have to say now? We complete that stage. Beautiful. And were we given anything? No, we have to get it from the quest. Ah, okay. And it opens up 2 new tabs, Chaos and Radiance. Oh boy. Okay. And I'm assuming we get rid of our current battery and we equip the new battery. I think that's what we do. Now in the action pad, do we have access to 2 new people? I don't see them in here. Interesting. So I was looking for it in the actual pad, but no, you shift right click this and that opens a new time portal. Okay. This looks absolutely wild. Infinity, Radiance, and Chaos. Oh, that that tripped me up walking out onto this. Interesting. So this is the spawn location here that gives us access to these new people. Okay, hello? Who are you? Oh my goodness. All right, well, let's see what they have to say.
Astonishing. I did not expect a human to withstand the collapse of the void. That alone confirms you were chosen. Furthermore, the draconic device in your possession tells me the work protocol has selected you, which means your purpose aligns with ours, though your lifespan remains far more limited. My tasks will not be simple. While your world engine already channels a considerable amount of void energy, no echo has studied the void as intimately as I have. My upgrade will allow you to fully infuse its unrestrained power into your world engine. Prolonged exposure to the void's event horizon has enabled me to replicate its properties under controlled conditions. You must first create a black hole by accelerating particles with enough force to compress neutrons into a solid state. Using these neutron piles, you can convert nuclear waste into a substance that, when supplied with an immense amount of energy, transforms into fluid antimatter. When solidified antimatter and red matter collide under sufficient force, a miniature black hole will form. Finally, you must contain the black hole within a vessel made with an awakened draconic alloy, the only material capable of enduring such raw power. You will also need a solidified dark matter base to stabilize it within the world engine. Once you return, I will speak with the others to determine the optimal position for its integration into your world engine.
My goodness. Okay. And what do we have here? Radiant casings we can buy. All right. Efficiency, speed add-ons, and accelerator speed sensors from Oratech. Okay. There's a lot happening here. All right. Well, Radiance, good to meet you. But now we've got to go meet Chaos? Okay, we'll see what Chaos has to say. All right.
A human? Here? Well, that's improbable. You should have been torn apart the moment you entered the void. And yet, I detect my counterpart in this. So, they found a way to reach me after all, despite all my warnings. Always so defiant. Always refusing to listen to me just because I was the younger one. Typical. Well, since you made it here, I'll just have to trust my counterpart knows what they're doing. We've been holding this realm together for what feels like forever. Time doesn't flow right here. It stretches endlessly, twisting around the event horizon. Every second the void pushes harder and harder, and every second we push back. I don't know how much longer we can hold it, or how much of our knowledge the work thingamajigger will even retain when all of this eventually ends. Now listen up! The awakened draconic core must be restored if you wish to upgrade your world engine. It was the most ingenious invention of our species, a capacitor capable of storing infinite amounts of energy. You will have to combine several hundred individual alloys into blocks before we can assemble it. Once that's done, you return to me, and I'll assemble it myself. We must do whatever it takes to stop this collapse.
Oh my god. Okay, there's a lot going on here. The endless gateway of Apothic invaders is something you can buy. Interesting. And an Eclipse alloy anvil. Okay, all of this, absolutely absurd. This is so cool looking in here, by the way. Also, we are literally under, I can see the overworld map. We are under the main map. It's just bonkers looking. And then we have another person. We haven't met yet, don't think. And we can't meet yet. This is the Infinity, who offers temporal time, nice, and stack Omega upgrades. Oh boy. And I guess after we leave, do we just walk through here? Oh, that's so cool looking. Oh, that's sick. So wow. All right, that was a lot of information to take in. Apparently we're going to be getting into like quantum, we're going to get into mechanism reactor stuff, it seems like. Also draconic evolution and like in-game draconic. This is going to be a wild ride, I think, moving forward. But I think that I have prepped myself up to be able to handle this with no problem whatsoever. And then we're also going to be diving into replication very, very soon, possibly within the next episode, because we're going to need this for many of the things moving forward. So now, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up. And with that being said, it's time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Linya. Thank you so much for your amazing support, choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible, getting access to world download, the supporter servers, and all kinds of other fun perks. Thank you guys so very much. And guys, with that, it's time for me to say goodbye. And as always, thanks for watching.